RPW, how are you doing today? Are you fired up? You should be, because it's all on the line. So I'm going to talk to you today about why I'm running for governor, the challenges we face, and our path forward together. Let me start by saying my reason for running for governor is the fact that our society is fundamentally off-kilter. Anybody disagree? It's a big crowd, no disagreement. Thousands upon thousands of people across the state of Wisconsin have also agreed with me that our society is fundamentally off-kilter. And that is why I'm running for governor, to get our society back on track. So what do I mean when I say that our society is off-kilter? Well, throughout Wisconsin, we have kids being taught to hate themselves, their fellow Americans, and their country on the basis of their race. Our schools are failing kids and not getting them basic proficiency. And it's happening at an epic scale, and it has to be fixed. We are literally watching the dissolution of law and order in our state. And this is not a crime wave. This is a programmatic attack on the existence of law and order in our society. We have seen the doubling of murder rates in cities like Milwaukee, the hollowing out of communities in rural Wisconsin due to the scourge of fentanyl pouring over our southern border, and a spread of violence. And it is violence that has impacted every single corner of our state. And then there's our elections. Anybody happy with the way those are being run? No. Ballot harvesting, ballot drop box, Zuckerbucks, all did happen in 2020. All were illegal, and all must be stopped going forward. These problems are long festering and should have been addressed years ago. But they were also exacerbated by the past 2 years when we saw our world turned upside down by vaccine mandates, mask mandates, and the closure of in-person schools. As your governor, I will work with the legislature to pass legislation that will ensure that future governors, county boards, county health officials, or for that matter, anyone else, cannot any longer arbitrarily issue mandates that shut down industries, that kick kids out of schools, or that fire employees on the basis of how soon they have new medical technology injected into their bodies. Now let's talk about some other issues that I just mentioned. To get our education back on track, I will institute universal school choice and ensure that money from the state of Wisconsin attaches to students and not to school buildings. Doing so will give Wisconsin families the ability to get their kids out of failing environments and into successful schools. Then we'll institute complete curriculum transparency and get all curriculums up online so we know what our kids are actually being taught. I'll also ensure that kids know the real story of our nation's history, one in which imperfect people fought many bloody wars to free people here at home and abroad at great cost. Our forebears also marched at Selma, and they passed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which makes it clear that in America you cannot discriminate against people on the basis of their race or their ethnicity. And as your governor, I'll ensure that any institution that perpetuates critical race theory and its attempt to assign historical blame to people on the basis of their skin color is sued for violating the Civil Rights Act, as they should be sued. When it comes to law and order, I am proud to have a law enforcement advisory team of 31 sheriffs throughout our state, including Sheriff David Clark. I have talked to them, learned from them, and I know that we must institute mandatory minimums for bail and for sentencing for violent charges and for violent convictions, and I will do this as your governor. Once that is done, though, we must rebuild law enforcement agencies throughout our state who cannot currently recruit or retain the people they need to do the job. I've not served in law enforcement, but I am a Marine combat veteran, and I do understand that far too many politicians do not get it, that when there is a use of force incident, the only thing a leader needs to say is, there's going to be an investigation, it will be transparent. When we have the findings, we'll decide the next steps in accord with the American judicial system. That's it. That's it. But Tony Evers couldn't do that after the officer-involved shooting in Kenosha. On that same night of the shooting, he indicted all law enforcement in Wisconsin and insinuated that they were racist, and it's one of the many reasons that he needs to go. As your governor, I will go to all 72 counties. I will talk to our children of the state of Wisconsin about the honor of serving in law enforcement. I will work with local and municipal officials to rebuild the funnel of people that are actually applying for the jobs, and it won't be easy, but we have to do it. When it comes to our elections, we must end ballot harvesting, drop boxes, and the introduction of Zuckerbucks. We must. And to that end, I will strike down the WEC, move election oversight to the Secretary of State's office, work with the legislature to write the laws so that no matter who the Secretary of State is, no more ballot drop boxes, no more ballot harvesting, no more Zuckerbucks in Wisconsin. Sound like a plan? But to do any of it, we got to defeat Tony Evers, and we got to do it after we lost the last 11 out of our 12 statewide general elections as Republicans. It is time to turn the page on the Madison machine and to do things differently. I do come from outside that Madison machine, and as some of you already know, I did grow up in a family of Democrats. Well, here's the story on that. My grandfather, a World War II vet, an FDR Democrat, was a huge influence on my life. Great guy, I loved him. I would spend my weekends with him, and we'd walk from 76 in Beloit in West Allis, where he lived, over to the Boyd Blue on 84th and Lincoln. We'd walk across McCarty Park, if you know the area, and on the way there, he'd talk about his love of FDR. On the way back, he'd complain about Ronald Reagan, because it was the 80s, and that's what he did. So that's what I knew of being a Democrat as a young person. I went to college. I'd been told I was a Democrat, so I thought I was. But what I saw, I didn't like. What I saw was the inception of identity politics. It was 1999. It was nearly a quarter century ago when I got involved really actively. And what I did not know then is that identity politics was an outcropping of critical race theory. But I knew I didn't like it. So I got away from politics and started a journey that turned me into the conservative I am today. I got my first real job in business. I worked at a newspaper. I actually had to mind the bottom line and understand how a business ran, and it made me more conservative. Next, I went out to Wyoming, and I worked for a year as a cowboy on a cattle ranch because that was the next logical step in my career, as you can imagine. But I did learn about agriculture, and it toughened me up mentally and physically, and it turned me into a person that could actually take the next step in my life, which was marrying my wife, Jessie, joining the Marine Corps, serving from 04 to 09, and fighting in Iraq in 07 and Afghanistan in 2008 and 9. Hoorah! And let me say something about the Marines. I learned more in 1 week in the Marine Corps than I did in 3 years at Harvard and Dartmouth studying for 2 graduate degrees. I learned reality because they tore me down to the studs and they rebuilt me as the leader and the warrior that I am today. And they mean warrior when they teach it to you. After I left the Marines and I finished grad school, Jesse and I and our 2, soon-to-be 3 kids returned to Wisconsin. I've worked in the private sector ever since as a management consultant. My clients are demanding. They do expect a lot of me. If I don't do the job, I get fired, and that's the ethos and the mentality that's missing from politics. I ran for the Senate in 2018. As many of you know, I lost that primary. After that primary, I founded No Better Friend. Its mission was to grow the conservative movement, to fight for school choice, to fight for the unborn, to be out there backing the badge and to fight critical race theory. And in so doing, we work with wonderful groups like Pro-Life Wisconsin and Wisconsin Family Action, and I'm thrilled to have their endorsement today. So that's my story and who I am. I've lived a challenging life that's grown and it's stretched me. I'm blunt, I'm direct. As many of you know, probably more so than you sometimes would like. But I do share my thoughts, and I don't back down when I think it's worth the fight, and that brings us to today. I know that my criticism of the Madison machine is often twisted into a criticism of the grassroots, which it is not. I understand that we, each of us here, have contributed to and fought for our conservative movement. In my own case, much was made of the fact that in 2018, when I ran for the Senate, my parents actually broke off contact with myself, my wife, their grandchildren, and our extended family. They actually donated to Tammy Baldwin as I was running for the U.S. Senate. We have not heard from my parents for years, and that was not my choice. Fortunately, we are blessed. We have aunts and uncles and cousins here today supporting my family, and thank God for them. So I suppose that break with my parents was part of the sacrifice of me actually fighting for my beliefs. It's also a testament to the fact that I am who I am, for better or worse, and I will not back down. I want to be very clear. I do not believe that the people in this room should not make an endorsement in this race or any other competitive primary. And it's not because I don't trust you, I do, but because I want Republicans to win, and we cannot do that if our party is ultimately fractured. This isn't just about me or my candidacy, it is about you. We have lost 11 out of 12 statewide general elections, and we cannot continue on this path. In November, we must win up and down the ballot, and we can't do it if the party is fractured. An endorsement today does not put us in a position of strength. It will help to fuel one primary candidate's attacks upon others. The stakes are too high to play games, and Republican voters deserve to pick their nominee. Our voters want leadership, transparency, accountability in elections, not party endorsements or insider games. In order to make Wisconsin better and stronger, we need a new voice as governor, an actual outsider like Donald Trump and Ron Johnson. I am not beholden to special interests and political insiders. I am a warrior who will fight for our future and who will not back down and who will not settle for anything but the best for our children. And so today, I urge you to vote for no endorsement. Then, when it comes time for we the people to vote on primary day and in November, I will ask for your support as we band together to defeat Tony Evers. So once more, unto the breach. Thank you, and God bless you, RPW, and God bless Wisconsin and the United States of America. Thank you.